Thank you for tuning in to the third episode of our On My Honor podcast series. If you've been watching the last two, you've seen a discussion with a couple different students, a senior sharing his perspective over the last 4 years, and the editor-in-chief of the WNL Spectator talking about sort of general student polling and other experiences he's had. Today, I'm joined by a freshman who's going to share some of his experiences having been on campus for now one semester. Finals just finished, and so it's an exciting time of the semester because I get to go home. The ground's covered in snow here in Lexington. So before I introduce Jackson Weiser, I want to just thank you all for tuning in, and again, thank all of you who have contributed to our annual fund this year, and remind you that we do have a $75,000 challenge match through the end of December. So if you haven't supported us this season, please consider doing that after this episode. Thanks so much. And so, Jackson, you're a student from North Carolina. I'm going to ask you what I've asked the last two. What brought you to WNL, and what do you hope to study and get from your time here?
Thank you for having me, Cameron. My name is Jackson Weiser, and what brought me to WNL first and foremost was like the study abroad opportunities. It was really, really exciting about the spring term abroad and all of that. And I'm only a first year, and I already get the opportunity to go away for an entire month to Shanghai, China, to study Chinese, which is what I want to be kind of my major. I want to major in East Asian languages and literatures.
So you're doing that spring term?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome.
All 4 weeks, we're going to Shanghai, and then for a weekend, we're going to Beijing, which is really exciting. I want to double major. I want to major in East Asian languages and literatures, and I want to major in environmental studies.
So when did you learn about WNL? Did you know about it, as a fifth grader excited, or was it, a more recent thing? What's the story there?
Yeah, so my mom and dad had never heard of it in their entire life. Like, they are from the Northeast. My dad went to UMass Amherst, and my mom went to Burt Business College. So they never heard of it. They moved down to North Carolina, and when it came time to kind of like look for colleges and stuff, we just kind of looked like nearby because I didn't want to go too far away. Like, I still like my family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The sweet spot where you're close enough to see your family, but you also can say, "Oh, I'm too busy. I can't come home."
exactly. And I don't feel too homesick because, I could just drive home. I also get to keep my car on campus, which is a plus. None of my friends from high school get to keep their cars on campus.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because WNL does have it seems like as students, when I was a student, I seemed to kind of complain about the parking policy and stuff. But then I talked to other students at other schools, and it seems like it could be much worse.
Yeah, they don't even have spots. Like,
Yeah.
damn, I have to walk half a mile to my spot, but they don't have a spot. So
Yeah. Well, we're glad you chose WNL, and it's your first semester's wrapped up. How do you feel? Are you going to be here next semester? I guess. Hate it.
I'm still debating. Yeah, it's been really amazing. It's been absolutely awesome. I can say though, my experience has been comparative to my other friends. Seems like I got the long end of the stick. Like, I got the easy classes.
Oh, yeah.
I got the lax schedule. Like, I'm already done with my exams. And it's day 2 of finals week. Like, I think I had it easy overall. Like, I still got a little taste of, a test heavy class. Like, that was a little bit of a pain in my butt, but I learned to study. So
Yeah, well, it'll only get harder from here. So enjoy finishing finals week early.
oh yeah.
I remember my last semester, my last winter term, I had to, take a extension on 2 different class capstones and finals because I was working on my honors thesis. And I mean, luckily WNL is very, very flexible in letting students sort of adjust to their needs, which I think is a good quality of our school. But it's nice that you had a good experience. I mean, what are you involved in, outside of academics? What have you been checking out?
Well, I regular habitat. I semi-regular habitat.
Yeah.
You guys make fun of me, but I come as often as I can. I'm really involved with Comunidad Latino Estudiantil.
Okay, what's that?
The Latino. It's like the Latino club. But we just got our bigs. Like, I have I don't know if you probably don't know them, but Luis and Diana and Caesar and Jeanette, and we all kind of like we just hang out and we do stuff together. We were gonna go salsa in Roanoke the other night, but we didn't make it on time. It
Yeah.
was way too late, but should have known. We can't be showing up to things at like midnight. That's not how things
Yeah.
work.
Tell me more about this you said you have these bigs. So it sort of sounds like a fraternity. Is it like a similar, like it's not a fraternity, but similar sort of culture and support structure?
Kinda, I would say. It's like, it's way more like fraternities are kind of centered around just, like, having a similar energy, whereas, CLE is more surrounded around, like, the actual culture,
Mm-hmm.
like, the Latino culture.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not Latino, so I'm just there for fun.
All right. Yeah.
I'm just there for the vibe, but I would say it's kind of similar, like, they have a lot of similar, like, um, functionings. They do a lot of the similar things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more centered around that Latino culture.
Yeah. Do you know how long this club's been around?
I have absolutely no idea, but I would
Longer
assume
than you?
yeah,
Longer than one
at least
semester?
longer than me, at least longer than me. I think they had a baile last year. I don't know if they had a if there was a baile
Yeah,
when you were
there
around.
there was some. I don't know. My freshman year was COVID, so we probably didn't have us then. But we
It
went
felt
there
like a high
sometimes.
school homecoming with good music.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a little, fancy dress you'll learn is like a high school prom with good music. So they're sort of, a little more involved. But well, it's fun. That sounds like a good group. And so you have they're high, like a sophomore or senior or somebody that you're sort of supported with there.
Yeah, we have, like, our bigs, which are the sophomores, and then we have our grand bigs, which is our junior, and then we have a great grand big,
Oh wow.
which is a senior.
Yeah, this is multi-generational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multi-generational community
Yeah.
of CLE.
Yeah. Well, let's talk some on the subject of this podcast, the On My Honor. Um, there's, over the last couple episodes and in the last couple months, there's been a lot of debate and sort of questions about the honor system.
Mhm.
Alumni are wondering, is the honor system dead? Is, the single sanction dead? Just generally, what's your thoughts as a, 1 month into the semester? What's your sort of reaction to the honor system now?
It's interesting that you have these, like, podcasts like, you have this what would you call this series going on
Mhm.
right now,
Yeah.
because it's, like, it's finals week.
Mhm.
Like, one of my finals for my CBSC class, like, I had to take 2 tests, and it was completely online, and it was whenever I wanted, at wherever I wanted,
Right. Yeah.
and I could take a 10-minute break between the 2.
Yeah.
So, like, I was telling my friends about that at, like, UNC Chapel Hill, like,
Mhm.
however many thousand people, and like they were like, "This is ridiculous, like, why aren't you cheating?" I'm like, "That's just not what we do here."
Yeah, it's sort of you almost take it for granted, like, you forget, because I would if you're surrounded by all your friends here or they're WNL students and it's like, "Oh, yeah, this exam's unproctored," like, I'm going to my dorm to take the exam, and some people even leave campus, and sort of go home and take exams and, wherever they live, um, and you get used to that, and then if you talk to high school buddies or whatever, and it's you mentioned that, they're like, "What? You get to?" Because yeah, I mean, I could not in high school, I can't imagine an instance where the teacher would have been like, "Oh, yeah, this is your math test, take it home, it's on your honor," right? Like, that just wasn't a thing, so they really I mean, did your high school I'm assuming it was you sit down, you take
Yeah.
a test, pretty
I
standard.
went to, like, a public high school like you
Mhm,
did, so it was, like it was that sense of honor, like, integrity was actually present. It was present in my, like, senior year when my class like, I was in AP Calculus, like,
mhm,
BC, like, I was in, like, the highest level math, like, that they offered, and that was because like, to get there, like, you had to take the same teacher, like, 3 times. So she trusted us, we all
sure,
trusted each other, like, we had this wicked tight community.
mhm,
So she would let us do like, we had take-home tests, and it would be like, you can't Google the answers, like, it is open note, and she trusted us to do that because she, like, knew who we were,
mhm,
and we just did it.
yeah,
So it's like, my impression coming to WNL, it it feels like the honor system is almost like as it's like a byproduct of of that
mhm.
community of trust, like, we're a small school and we have this mutual trust for one another, and it feels like the honor system would be there regardless because we're so tight. Or maybe
Yeah.
it's
Well, and I
vice
was gonna say
versa, like, maybe it works the other
a
direction.
difference maybe then from your high school experience, right? You had a teacher, multiple classes, whereas this you could meet, you meet a professor and your first semester you didn't know any of these professors ahead of time, and your, first exam is probably take home. So it's like you come in with that trust, right? You don't have to sort of build it up.
Yeah.
And I think that is unique to WNL. And I'm sure there's other colleges that have, unproctored exams and things, but WNL is pretty much as lenient as you can get, And so that's definitely something you've appreciated this semester. Um, so what about in sort of well, I guess let me take a step back. What's your coming into WNL as a freshman, back, I guess, I assume you did, I guess all first years do the pre-orientation program.
Yeah.
What did you do? What was
I
your
was on archaeology. You gave me a tour
That's
of
right,
our
I did, yeah,
campus.
that's right.
I don't know how you could have forgotten this. This
Yeah.
is so fake.
Well, I just give so many campus tours, it's hard to remember. Yeah, so you did archaeology on campus. Was that a fun
That was so much fun. That
experience?
was so cool. I definitely learned that I'm not interested in archaeology, but
Yeah, well, at
still sick.
least yeah.
Still so sick.
Well, it's the type of thing it's fun to do in short spans, I feel like. Like, I wouldn't wanna make a career out of it, but we've done some archaeology out here at Fancy Hill, just the in the construction, we unearthed some stuff, so I was able to use some of those skills that I took because I took a couple archaeology classes at WNL.
Mhm.
But you did this archaeology trip. What was the process of? Because I asked Tim, Johns, who, you know well from Habitat,
Yeah.
in the first episode, if he could recount his sort of honor orientation as a freshman, the first week you, like, go into, I guess you went into, the chapel and
Mhm.
did if I guess President Dudley was there or somebody spoke about being a WNL student honor. Um, Tim couldn't really remember his, and I couldn't remember mine, but to be fair,
Old.
mine was on Zoom, so it was hard to we tried to forget it, but, um, hopefully, since it was, like, 4 or 5 months ago, you still remember. What was that process like?
It seems like a miracle that I remember because you just asked me what I had for lunch, and I completely forgot that I even ate lunch.
Yeah.
But, I actually do remember this. It was the EC president. We were all packed into this chapel, and it was like every single EC representative was in there, and the EC representative or, like, the EC president, Megan, she went up and she just, like, talked for, like, 30 minutes, and it was all about, like, the honor system and this community of trust that we've built and, like, how the processes work and stuff like that, and then we kind of broke into our halls,
Mm.
and, we were just, like, explained the more intricacies and how, like, the process of signing the white book works and all of that.
How was that facilitated? Was that, like, the RA, the residential advisor leading that session, or?
So we were each assigned to an EC representative,
Hmm,
and we were mixed with other halls so that, like, the representatives could get to us all.
sure.
Like, there aren't that many of us, but there's still, like,
Yeah.
there's only so many representatives. But we all went to, different, like, classrooms all across campus.
Mhm.
So I was in, like, the commons. I was in, like, Commons 216, that, like, space for students just above the dining hall,
Sure, yeah.
and, they just put up I don't remember if the representatives were there, but they put the presentation up on the screen and then just kind of explained to us, like, what we were supposed to do and how it would work and what the process would look like,
Mhm.
including, like, how to report other students.
Yeah. Well, do you think, because this question was asked of me recently by a visitor that came to Fancy Hill, that you retain that information? Because one of the things I pointed out too is, you were probably super busy that week, right? With all
Mhm.
there's a lot of orientation, onboarding stuff. Do you feel like that process of the chapel orientation and then the sort of, I guess, breakout sessions after, that was like a helpful, informative exercise that you can reflect on now?
I think, like, we're always busy. Like,
Mm,
there is no, like, best time to be plopped down, given a 30-minute lecture, and then moved to be given another 30-minute lecture. Like,
right.
there is no best time for that. Um, so I guess there is a best time for that, like, right at the beginning.
Mhm.
And I do feel like I don't remember every detail of the white book. Like,
You couldn't quote it right now?
I
Okay.
couldn't. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have a
no,
copy of it in
no,
my
yeah,
dorm though.
that's good.
So if I need it, like, they handed those out for free when we were signing it. Um, I think the main part of it was that, like, it's not a system you should be afraid of. It's a system you should appreciate.
Mm,
Um, and it really felt like it's at times it felt a little bit intimidating. Like, it was like, if you do these things, like, you will be put before the EC.
mhm.
But at the same time, it felt kind of empowering because that means they trust the students a lot. That was something they emphasized a lot. It was a mutual trust for the students. So I would say, like, I got what I needed out of it. Like,
Mhm.
I got that sense of trust out of it. Like, I'm sitting here talking to you right now about, like, my favorite parts of WNL, and it's trust.
Yeah.
So I think that only reinforced it really.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and I don't I don't think what they're doing is bad or anything like that. I just, I don't really remember mine. And again, mine was on Zoom,
Mhm.
but I certainly, I sort of continued as a student. I ran unsuccessfully. I ran for the EC one year. To do that, I read a lot of I read through the white book and all these things. And so I sort of continued to inform myself on it. And I think, that is helpful to do just as any student, whether you're running for student government or not. But I think the little breakout session sounds like a good way to sort of, after the formal everybody in one room introduction, having more of a discussion. Because I assume for that, if there were questions people had, they could, raise their hand and ask
Yeah.
in this 20 or 30 person group setting.
Yeah.
Um, so, well, what about, one of the key things that especially alumni reminisce on about the honor system is the sort of trusting culture just in social life and settings,
Yeah.
right? You could leave your backpack around.
Yeah.
I mean, they say so at least. Hopefully you not
I
have you
actually have a funny
experience.
story about
Oh,
this.
yeah?
Last night was the midnight breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar with midnight
Yeah, yeah.
breakfast, right? Um, and I was so far back in line, like, it was dining hall all the way around, up the stairs,
Yeah.
around,
It's gotta be
through
their
Coop, out to the patio.
gotta be their busiest day of the year, which for people that don't know, I think it started like 25 years ago because I saw they posted about it.
Mm,
It's basically breakfast at midnight, pretty self-explanatory, but, it's a big draw for the students right at this time for finals to sorta
yeah,
take a moment away from the stress and go have, French toast or
but the
yeah,
pancakes were really good,
yeah.
but I was standing in line, like, I was
Mhm,
so far in close to the back. I went to Coop and I ordered a croissant at 9:46, and then the line started moving when they called my name out, so I couldn't go grab it,
mhm,
and I was with my buddy, so we swiped in, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, I actually just left my food there, like, they're gonna be so upset, like, I told somebody to just go take it.
mm,
I'm like, "Yo, there's a croissant over there with my name on it, like, just go grab it for me, or just go grab it for yourself, like, I don't care, like, I don't need it anymore, I'm gonna go eat." But we finished dinner, and then we come back at 10:46, and it's still there on the counter,
mhm.
so, like, I don't know if anybody really wanted my croissant, but
Yeah,
people just the thought doesn't even pop into people's minds about that, and I feel like I don't know if it's the kind of students that WNL attracts,
mhm,
or, like, I don't know what I can attribute it to, but I know it is not attributable to, like, a fear of the honor system.
mhm.
It's definitely, like, something about that community, whether it's the people that are attracted by it or, like, just the positivity that people exude on campus, especially with the speaking tradition.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one of the traditions of WNL that is sort of lost, unfortunately, and this anytime somebody talks about Coop, it reminds me of this place. There was in the I guess the late 19th century and early 20th century, there was, the YMCA candy store, and back then, YMCA was, like, a really active student club. It was, like, different than the YMCA is now, but it was like a Christian fellowship type group. But they ran a candy store in, Newcomb Hall, the history building,
Mm,
and, it was basically, like, essentially Coop. They had candy and, little snacks and things out, but it was known, like, nationally known. People would hear about this place because they didn't have it was a self-operating cash register. So, like, a student would go in and just, like, get I don't know, Hershey's chocolate, whatever they had back then, and just leave the nickel or dime, whatever the
that sounds like something that would happen here.
yeah, and it eventually it and the funds went to the YMCA for their programming, but eventually it sort of dissolved, and, I'm not quite sure why it didn't seem like it didn't dissolve because of people were stealing all the candy. I think it just the culture sort of shifted and other things took its place. But in the '20s, there's um, a president, Smith, Henry Louis Smith of Washington and Lee, that's writing about the YMCA candy store and how it was sort of emblematic of the honor system and that, it's a shame that it no longer continues. So it's neat to think just in terms of Coop as sort of a modern example of that. Of course, you still like they swipe,
Yeah.
there is somebody working the register. But you I don't think they have a huge issue of people walking in and swiping peanut M&Ms, on their way to, class or whatever. So I think that culture of trust is still there. It would be curious to think if if the university could like re-implement the self, checkout, like you have just like a self checkout like at Walmart or something, but for Coop, that might streamline the checkout a little bit more, and probably would be fine to implement. I'm sure students would appreciate it. But so have you, as a freshman around campus, like, have you left anything more valuable than a croissant out? Like, have you left your laptop lying around? Or,
Yeah, I've left.
I mean, you don't want to test it too much. Like, you don't.
I fear I have already. I have left my like entire net worth in my bag because I wanted to go. Like, this was at the very very beginning of the year. Like I hadn't even brought a notebook to my first day of class. Thank God, because she was like, "Should I give a lecture today or should I just introduce myself?" Thank God she didn't give that lecture
Ones that
because that
start.
was the one where I took up like 5 pages a day
Yeah.
in my composition notebook. But I was like, I could really use a notebook right now. Like I should start taking notes for this class. So I left everything. I left my laptop, my phone. I took everything or I left everything except for my swipe card
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I just need to go back to my room, grab a notebook, and then come back. And I bumped into people on the way back to my room. So it ended up being like a 30-minute trip, even though my dorm's like 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
And everything was exactly where I left it. Like nothing moved. I actually came back and a friend recognized my laptop and was sitting right across from me.
Oh yeah.
So
I think it's good to know that um safety's still there, right? I mean, you can leave stuff out. That's not to say there's never theft on campus. One of my good friends, on like the first week their freshman year, my freshman year, was they left out a pair of AirPods that got swiped by somebody. And then I had a pair of Ray-Bans that had my name, Spivey, on the side, that were swiped somewhere at during one of the
why would anyone take
activities
glasses
there.
with your last name on them?
Well, I'm like, maybe they know us Spivey. So it was sort
It's
of.
funny you say that actually. You know Fizz, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm definitely not gonna find the post. They're with
Fizz, for again,
oh,
those that don't know, Fizz is a anonymous social media post. It's very popular on probably the most popular
yeah.
on campus social media. But you can say things anonymously, and for better or for worse, it stimulates a lot of
This
conversations.
is true, but there's a lost and found tab.
Oh, is it?
People like, I wear my sunglasses all the time on campus,
Hmm.
and there were sunglasses that look just like mine in Coop, and there was a picture taken of them, and they're like, "Jackson, you left your sunglasses in Coop." It's like, "Those aren't mine, but I appreciate you looking out for me."
Yeah,
And it got like 50 upvotes, like, people were trying to help me find this.
yeah. Well, it's good to know that Fizz has a positive contribution to campus, because
That's
normally when I hear.
a longer discussion.
Yeah, normally when I hear something about Fizz, it's, "Did you see this crazy thing that somebody how could somebody post this?" So, I guess the lost and found features a better piece. But, yeah, well, I think, as you go through WNL, you'll definitely, um, continue to appreciate that culture of honor here. And, a lot of, like, so many students, they don't lock their dorm rooms. When I lived in 3rd year,
Mhm.
um, we were on the 1st floor, and so there's, like, the patio entrance, and we never kept that locked. It's nice that you can do that, and, barring, occasional theft, it seems like there's far little between croissants all the way to, all your laptops. It seems like a pretty good culture. When you said you visited WNL, was like the honor system talked about in that, if you can remember, like, as a selling point by the tour guide?
Yeah, so I was here a couple of times.
Mhm.
During the tour, it wasn't really emphasized as much, and, like, I just got hired as a UA, university ambassador, and the like, that's, like, the main thing that I was, like, kind of critical of with UA. I was like, "This is, like, a really important part of our culture, like, I feel like we should maybe talk about it a little bit more."
Mm,
Like, it feels like it was kind of, like, on back burner, I
mhm.
guess. And then the other time I was like so I didn't really remember it during my official visit, but the other time I was here for, a weekend prior.
Okay.
Like, I stayed here a weekend with a current
Yeah,
student.
so like a fly-in type program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the fly-in programs, exactly, and, that's when I really saw it in action. I like that I guess, like, starting with the honor like, because that's directly what we're talking about. I
Mm.
keep bringing up the sense of community because it, like, meshes so
Sure, yeah.
much with me, but, like, the honor system specifically, like, I was, like, my host told me I could just go to the library and I could just, like, leave my things there and then go,
Mhm.
like, to the bathroom or whatever. Like, I didn't have to pack up all my stuff, put it in the backpack, and take it with me to the bathroom like I would at a state school.
Yeah.
Um, and that was, like, really cool to me. Like, originally when I introduced myself, I said, it was the study abroads that brought me here. But
Mhm.
like once I saw that, I was like, this is amazing. Like the campus is full of people that have like integrity. Like that's amazing. Like that's what I want to be around. Like that's the energy I want.
Yeah.
Um, and there's like a billion examples from that weekend. But
Mhm. Yeah, I did a fly-in weekend, and that's what I was already really interested in WNL, but that's what sold me on it because um, I stayed with a host who was at the time a freshman living in Gramleys, and so I was sort of like in the study room with them hanging out and, they were telling me a lot, because the tour guides are gonna tell you the official script and the university, admissions officer is gonna tell you their polished script, but the students are gonna tell you what's real, they're
yeah,
gonna say and I mean, they were um very, like, enthusiastic about the honor system, and not in a way that they were trying to sell me even, it was just, like, they were literally doing homework, and they just, like, seemed like, one of them brought up that it was, he was doing something, he was like, would this be an HV?" And I was like, What's this?" And you have, like, a whole discussion, and, like, it seemed important to them, which to me as a prospective student, I was like, "Wow, this" it really is a value to this institution, and so, yeah, I think hopefully, when you do these ambassador tours, that you can be very, very pro honor system and tell some of the same stories. Tell them to watch this podcast, and if they want to
I've
like,
already hosted for 2 of those, fly-in
oh
weekends,
yeah,
and they were, like, actually, like, flabbergasted. Like, I was telling them about all this, and like, "Dude, I've not heard about this anywhere else." I'm like, "Yeah, you won't get this anywhere else." So,
yeah. Would you go to say that it's our greatest tradition here, like our greatest sort of cultural element?
yeah, I feel it's like WNL is a lot of things, but I feel like the honor system contributes, of course. Like, I'm a cornball, like, I'll say it, like, it's the sense of community. Like,
Hmm.
we're smaller, we have a low student faculty ratio, like, we have this honor system, we have the speaking tradition, like, everything meshes so well together, and we have students that are like, I'm not gonna call us, like, Ivy or anything, but, like, we have driven students, like, we have people that are active,
Hmm.
and, like, I feel like all of these factors come together to create just, like, a really intense student body, like, it feels like there's always someone there for you,
Hmm.
and I feel like the honor system contributes greatly to that.
Yeah, well, and it makes a lot of sort of lifelong support and passion for the school, right? I mean, you even as students, if you're, I mean, you're a freshman and you're hosting prospective students because clearly you like WNL enough to, want
A little
everybody
bit,
to
yeah.
have that experience, right? And seniors doing the same thing, and then alumni particularly, the number of important distinguished alumni who got their job just because another alum, older than them said, "Oh, this person's W, I can trust them," right? I mean, that's you'll learn a lot of stuff here. You'll, gain a lot of book smart and skills, important skills. But at the end of the day, it's going to be you're gonna, WNL makes character. It builds character in the young men and women that it produces, that the school produces, and at some point, an employer is gonna say, "Oh, he went to W now. We can trust him to run this. We can trust him to, you know, take this job." And because every school's got great not every school, but every school's producing great intellectual students.
Yeah.
And honor is what sets
You can get a
our
degree
school
from
apart.
anywhere, you
Yeah,
can't get, like, that that integrity or that, like, sense of trust.
yeah, exactly. So, well, is there any other, last remarks or takeaways you have on the honor system as you, head out for the end of the term?
I just it feels like it doesn't feel like something I actively think about anymore, like, at the beginning of the semester, is like, "Is this an HV?" Like,
Mhm,
I don't really think about that anymore, like, I was taking my exam, and I told my friends that I took that exam on my own, like, my friends that go to the Chapel Hill, and I told them that I took it, like, in the library just with my headphones in, like, I was just by myself, nobody was around, there was no cameras, but
mhm,
I just did it by myself, like, there was no open notes, nothing, and they just said, "You didn't use your notes?" I'm like, "That didn't even cross my mind."
mhm.
Like, it just feels like a part of who I am now, and I feel like I can say that for all my friends too. I feel like we don't think about it. It's just who we
Yeah, it
are.
really is just ingrained into the man. Like you forget how great it is, right? I mean,
Yes.
so well that
God forbid I go into the real world.
yeah. Well, just stay at WNL forever. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah. The hard culture to leave. Well, thanks so much, Jackson, for joining this podcast. I think it's always nice to hear a fun, youthful perspective and very optimistic. I'm sure you're excited for the semesters to come. And thank you so much, listeners, for tuning into this. We have one more of these before the end of December, so hope you'll enjoy that, and hope you're enjoying our Christmas decorations here in the George Washington parlor. Go Generals, and let's have a Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.